Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Rachel Morris, and I am the Executive Director of the Rolesville Chamber of Commerce. Today is our first day for our new mayor show that is kicking off once a month. It is called What's Happening in Rolesville, and I'm so excited to have on this evening Mayor Ronnie Currin. How you doing, Mayor?
I'm doing great. The rain is over with. We got a little rain, and now we can just sit back and talk a little bit about what's going on in Rolesville, what's happening.
Well, we're definitely excited about that. And for all of our viewers, we want to make sure that as you guys are watching us online, be prepared to drop your comments in, drop your questions in as we go throughout the show. Of course, we will work on answering those questions and make sure that the mayor and also our guest this evening, if you saw the advertisement today, we're going to have on Brad Walker with LaunchRolesville, which is our premier entrepreneur training program. And then we have Austin, who's going to be on from Crosland Southeast, which is the Wallbrook subdivision or the Wallbrook development, that is coming up. And a lot of people are wondering, what is Wallbrook? Haven't heard about it. So this is going to be a great evening for you to hear about it, learn about it, ask the mayor questions, ask our guests questions about the developments and also about the entrepreneur program. Mayor, what were you thinking about kind of when we were looking at doing something? Of course, this morning we had our show and we talked about kind of, the history of Rolesville, some of the things that are happening, some of the decisions that are made when we look at COVID restrictions and things like that. So when you look at doing a show like this and bringing on guests, like what's your thought process when you go through and do that?
Yeah, I really think it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. Actually, COVID probably slowed it down a little bit because, we've been so concentrated on trying to get out of that situation. But it's just a avenue that we can use to engage with the citizens. I really enjoy talking to the citizens. I enjoy asking their questions. Some of them, they're hard questions, but I really enjoy the challenge of that. And I want to make it interactive. So, if folks have questions, they can. But it's so much going on in Rolesville, and there's so many people that are doing great things that I want to try to feature two people each month. And this month we're starting off with Brad Walker. He will be the first guest featured on our mayor show. So if we ever have a Trivial Pursuit for Rolesville, that may be one of the questions that we could have in there. Who was the first guest? But he will be the first. And I picked Brad because of so many things he does. I mean, he does so much for Rolesville, and really appreciate everything he does.
Well, Mayor, I'm going to tell you, when you talk about that trivia, we may have to add some trivia to these. I know also one of the things why it's so exciting, which we have not announced this to many places or many people outside of this, is that we're currently about to kick off our works for a Rolesville community guide. And so in that guide, as we bring on people like Brad and people like Austin, and we're preparing for our growth and our development, this community guide will be something we're looking to do it once a year. That way the information is fresh and updated and things like that. For those, are thinking it's going to be a business directory, it also have information on Rolesville that will talk about, for example, our schools in there, anything that you can think about that you currently would think of when you go to visit a town or a city. The first thing you ask is, do you have a visitor's guide or something of that nature? Right. So for all of my business owners that are watching and things like that, just stay tuned. It is going to be the process of that will start definitely sometime after October. We're going to kick that off and kind of get that moving. We're really excited about that. We're partnering with a company called Metro Media, who's partnering with us to do this year. I'm so excited. So I definitely want to tell people stay tuned, because that possibly will come out and be published sometime in maybe March of 2022. I had to look at the calendar to see what year we're in. And for those that are watching, this guide, community guide, will be mailed to every resident in Rolesville. So you will get one per household. So as we think about ways that the town and the chamber are working to make sure we grow and develop, this is all part of it. So that way, when people come or you're looking for places to go and things to do, this will be something that you'll have as a resource. And so I know the mayor didn't have that update. So I wanted to share that this evening, for everyone, so that all of the great stuff that we're working on to have available for the town. So
yeah, and that's a great thing that we're talking about there. Also, if we do March of next year, it's perfect timing because, as you know, 2022 is the 185th anniversary of the town, which is 185 years is a pretty good date. So
wow.
we probably can talk about that a little bit at some point in time, next year when it gets closer, and also our population. One thing I was going to mention, we just got our census, and we were at 9,475 people, so just shy of 10,000. We probably have already made the 10,000 mark, or in the next few months, I think we are. That's one of the tasks we asked Michael to do, is try to come up with who is the 10,000th person and when will that be. And that would be exciting also to reach that point.
Now, the interesting thing is, I always tell people with the census, you always have to leave a little margin for error because, not everyone responds to the census. So we probably have somewhere close to that in here. But just for our viewers who are watching and wondering why we're so excited about that 10,000 mark, and you'll hear it to some, hopefully from Austin when he comes on, maybe he'll talk a little bit about it. He's backstage waiting. But one of the things with that 10,000 mark is that opens us up for a whole nother pool of recruitment for businesses, for commercial. For those that are not familiar with it, you have to have a certain population to even, look at attaining some businesses. So we're really excited about that and excited about what the developments will bring. We mentioned, for those that are of course, we have Cobblestone. We just did the groundbreaking on, and you'll see that, but we'll talk about that later because that developer will also be on too on one of our shows. So Mayor, if you're ready, we can go ahead. We're right on track and on schedule. If there's nothing else that you want to cover, I can get your first guest on and I'll hang backstage and make sure things are rolling good, if that works for you.
It does. Bring Brad on. I hadn't seen him in a long time face to face. I think it was one of the last chamber events, probably about 2 months ago. So bring him on. And there he is. Welcome, Brad. Welcome to the show. Like I was telling Rachel, you may have heard, you may be in a Trivial Pursuit game one day. So
cool.
That'd be cool, huh?
Cool.
But,
thank you for allowing me to come on the show.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. And like I was telling her, you got so many things you got going on in Rolesville that is probably hard to mention. But one of the things has to do with LaunchRolesville. And Rachel mentioned that. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about because that's coming up, is it not? The deadline for getting registered for that is coming up pretty quick, right?
Yeah, our applications are being accepted until the 15th of this month, September 15th, and we start classes September 22nd. So we're looking for this is our 4th year in existence for LaunchRolesville. So this will be our 4th class in Roseville. We'll get started and basically tell you a little bit about it and kind of the history of it. Basically, we were formed by 4 entities that came together and said, hey, look, we really would like to help entrepreneurs in the area. So we got together with the town, the chamber, Wake Tech, and the local Rotary Club. And of course, I'm a Rotarian. And so we got together and said, hey, let's form this launch class. And so we ended up doing an entrepreneurship training. And so basically Launch Wake Forest is a training program for business owners, people with an idea, people that's been in business, just got started in business. You can always learn something, as a business owner. So basically we meet once a week, every Wednesday from 6 to 9 p.m. And you go through a 12-week training period. And then you have a mentor. And then we also offer some business loans, some small business stuff. And then also have good contacts with banks, things like that to kind of introduce you. We have speakers that come every night. Wake Tech provides a trainer, basically an instructor that starts the class. Yes, there's a little homework, but that little homework is basically an entrepreneurship doing their business plan, you know. So they're really thinking about their business. We also have kind of me as my background as a business owner, entrepreneur for the past 23 years, 24 years. And so I kind of tell them like it is and how business, some things you can expect as a business owner, and so those get kind of fun because as a business owner, if you've been in business that long, you have a bunch of stories, you have employee stories, you have tax stories, you have all kind of stories. And you try to tell those stories to new business owners so they avoid the money pit, in the business world. You try things. If it doesn't work, you lose money, so you either make money or lose money in business. So we try not to lose that much money in business. So.
Yeah, I think we just put up your website there that you can go on and sign up. And I guess you got limited spaces though, do you not, Brad? So you do fill up, do you not?
We try to keep the classes at 15, no bigger than 15 students. And the reason we do that is because we try to do this every year. So LaunchRolesville is always done in the fall time frame. And so we choose 15. There's a lot of networking because this is our fourth class. This is like number 100. We've graduated about 100 so far in Rolesville, business owners from the area. So we have different ones. I'm showing some of our graduates now, and you'll see some of these people are local business owners here in the area. And so they learn a good bit. All of them will tell you that they definitely learn some things. Some of the people, if they're thinking that about, we do tell people like it is. I mean, I don't sugarcoat anything when it comes to business,
Right.
So if the business is looking difficult or, I make sure that somebody knows the risks that are happening going into business. I'd prefer somebody know the risk before just trying spending, thousands of dollars on getting a business started only to close it in 2 or 3 months, so I try to make sure that everything works with their business. It's a sustainable business. We help the businesses come up with different ideas for their business. So it's a really good business education program.
Yeah, and I think looking at some of these, and I recognize some of them as we went through them there. It's good success. I mean, from your graduates, you've had really good success on a lot of them, right?
Yes, and one big success is, for example, Michelle Medley. She is a town commissioner. She's also a realtor, and she had a passion and went through launch with no business at all other than an idea to do a co-working space. Okay. And so we all kind of thought, Michelle, like, oh, that's kind of risky, doing a co-working space. I said, we need to really think that out and come up with a business plan. She went through the class without having a co-working space, or without having a space or real estate at all. And so she graduated from the class, and after the class, we were able to kind of network and find her a space, which is called Arise Co-working Space. And so she created the Arise Co-working Space right there at 300 Southtown Circle, kind of the opposite end or the middle of where the town hall's at. Okay.
Right.
And so she's been successfully running that co-working space for 2 years now, I believe. I want to say about 2 years now. And so we have our classes there now. Before we were having them at different locations. And so now our classes are at Arise. And that's kind of one of our little successes in Rolesville, is that we had somebody that just had an idea and she's graduated and then brought it all the way to fruition, to an actual business. And it's been successful so far for 2 years now.
So it sounds like it is a class. So, you're teaching a class, and that's what you sign up for when you go online. You sign up for this class with so many classes per week, I think you said. But it's more than that, because you're really joining a network of people that is more than the class that can work together and under your leadership, sound like Brad, can actually put things into action if need to.
Well, actually, I'm not going to take any credit on the networking and grouping in Rolesville because that first class that we had in Rolesville, um, they are really some go-getters. Okay. And they network the mess out of, they still, I think, have events, as a class, after I mean, it's been going on 4 years now, and what happens is we get all the alumni together at different events. Like we're going to have a Christmas party with the alumni. Okay. So everybody gets to network with other classes, so it's not just your 15 people in your class there. It's additional classes also. They have events, if you go to the Roseville Farmers Market, you're going to see a lot of launch graduates at the Roseville Farmers Market, Um, so it's kind of the community in the Roseville area that you're really networking and coming a part of. So it is really good networking, and it's really from the class, them getting together, doing things like going to the brewery across the street, just having people over at their houses, as a social. So it's a great networking.
Yeah. And so I guess, my question is, why would anybody be hesitant of doing that? Is it
Well,
just taking a class is not a fun thing to do, or why wouldn't
there's a
everybody do that?
there's a little bit of a commitment. So the only thing I would say, we do have classes, like it is a 12-week commitment. It's one night a week. It's Wednesday night from 6 to 8:30. We do ask you attend all the classes. We also will feed you. Okay, we will also feed you dinner that night. Our sponsors, basically, that speakers and sponsors that we have, they take care of dinner. So if somebody wants to eat dinner, they come at 5 to 6 and eat dinner before the class at Arise. We always have a different restaurant from Roseville supply food that night, and the class is free. Some people think that, oh, this is going to be too expensive. Okay. This entrepreneurship class is pretty much done at Wake Tech, that you can kind of sign up for and take it as a class, but they charge about $3,000. Okay. Once you apply, we go through a small interview, like a phone interview process, and we select the class of 15. And then there's no cost for those 15 people that are in that class. The sponsors and the clubs all take care of the cost of the class.
That sounds good. So you have more than 15 sign up each year, then probably.
We do. We normally have about 30 applications that come in. And so it's kind of about half, you know.
Hmm.
But we also approach those people, same people, for next year also, so I keep them on a list and I email them, say, hey, next year, would you like to do? So we're trying to do these every year. And so eventually we will get them. Another thing that kind of comes into play with selecting the 15 is we usually don't have competing companies within that class. So like, say if we have 2 people open nail salons, I know everybody likes that, we don't allow 2 like competing companies. So we wouldn't allow 2 owners of nail salons coming into the class. We would allow 1, and then we'll ask the other one for next year in the fall. Another thing we do is a partnership with Launch Wake Forest. I put that program on also, and that's in the spring. And so one unique thing, but Roseville and Wake Forest being so close together, you may have the opportunity to attend the Wake Forest class in the spring, just like some of them, if you don't have a ability to be in the spring and you'd rather do the fall, because the spring is a Tuesday night class. And so this one's a Wednesday night class. So sometimes the schedules don't really match for people. So they choose a different program or that. And the launch program is one of 12 now. You'll find a launch program almost in every city in Wake County almost. We just started a new Gardner, so there's a launch Gardner. It started in Raleigh, so there is a launch Raleigh for Southeast Raleigh. We have Wake Forest, Launch Roseville. We have Launch Cary. We have Launch Apex, Launch Holly Springs. I'm probably missing. I know Launch Garner just came on board. So we have a good group that's been doing this, and all of us get together. All the program managers get together. Oh, look, there she found it. She found all the lists. And basically we call it Launch Wake County, and so the county gets together, all program administrators, and we try to keep the programs pretty much the same and everywhere. They're not going to be exactly the same. Oh, Launch Nightdale. That was the one I forgot. And so they're very similar, but they're not exactly the same. They all have the same components where there's an education, networking, business loans, and mentors. We all have that. We also, when we teach the class, we actually teach the class using a program called liveplan.com. It's a online business planning software. Okay. So each night we do a different section of the business plan. So at the end, you actually have a business plan. Okay. That you can complete and provide to a bank for funding, investors to invest. You have different things. We also do a graduation, so you get a certificate at the end, so that there's a certificate that you can show that you've attended, you've graduated from Launch. Those type of things. So it's kind of a really nice full-fledged program.
Yeah, it really is. It's really a nice program, as you spoke of there, Brad. And I have been to one of those annual events. I think prior to COVID, you guys were doing annual events that brought all these groups from the different municipalities and county together in one big annual event. And I have attended that, and that's a great thing. But I want to kind of segment into another part of discussion, Brad. Sometimes I tell people you're one of them Renaissance guys. You do it all, and from teaching and educating here, new businesses, people thinking about businesses and stuff. But also, I think you're an IT expert is kind of what I hear. But one of the other things that I have probably known you more for, Brad, is your commercial real estate expertise. And I know you used to work for a firm called North Wake Realty, I think. And I know for many years I have asked you questions about, how do we get commercial real estate really off the ground and running here in Rolesville? And you've advised me many times on that. And we recently went to a new LDO. We abandoned our UDO, which was our old type of ordinances, and went to a LDO. And you were asked you to participate, in designing that. So are we on the right track now, Brad? You think?
Yeah, I think so. That was one thing that was almost like attending one of my launch classes, that LDO. I mean, we met like once a month for like months and months, and it was very enlightening, talking with town folk, town officials, and then also some engineers, and trying to give them the business perspective. Like, okay, that's not going to work for a business. Okay, that's going to cost a business a lot of money. There's nobody going to do it.
Right.
It's like, it's got to be affordable, and things like that nature. And it was very hard to open a business in Rolesville, as far as if I found a suite that was empty and I wanted somebody to come through, it was basically about 3 to 4 months before I could actually have it open. And that was basically getting permits, and so it was just very cumbersome. And so we kind of changed and looked at the LDO and like, how can we do it better, for businesses? Like, can we get a business open in 30 days, or even less, 2 weeks, And so a lot of that was accomplished with that LDO, so that things can be done a lot quicker for businesses. And, it's still a little long if you're doing a building from scratch, but it should be, because there's a lot involved if you're building something from scratch on a piece of property. But if you already have a retail space, like a strip center done already, and you got an empty space in there, it should be fairly quick to go in there, do your upfit, and then go ahead and get started selling your product. That should be fairly quick. Before, everything was a special use permit, and it had to go before 3 boards, to get approved, and so now it's like, I believe there are permitted uses already, that if you decide to want to do a nail salon, well, a nail salon's in our permitted uses. So let's go ahead and put that nail salon in. We don't have to go through 3 boards to put a nail salon in, so it just, things of that nature is what really improved, with the LDO process.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Brad. And there's so many things we can talk about on that. But I think we make it simple, but sometimes we may overload on one business and people want another business, and really we don't have a lot of control over that, do we? I mean, it's kind of what a person wants to do, right?
I think one thing that we looked at too is say if you're building a business, there was this huge buffer from the road that they wanted a lot of a very high berm, and they had trees and shrubs, and then there was a space, and then certain parking requirements. And so we did the calculation, and I think on a 2-acre lot we could fit 1,000 square foot building. It's like that's not going to work. Okay, so and then two, your businesses can't see, like nobody can see your business going along the highway. It's like it's okay to have really good landscaping, but not where you're hiding the business, because then nobody will come to it, and then you'll just have an empty building, and that'll just cause blight, in the area. So, and of course, people, like parking in parking lots with blight, and doing things they're not supposed to be doing, so that's why, it's good to have a happy medium between that. Yes, we need a berm, probably not as high where it covers the roof of the building, just kind of really lower, parking, have enough parking for their type of business, in the parking lot,
but not too much.
Not too much, where you just have an empty parking lot all the time. Because, a lot of people judge restaurants, about how crowded the parking lot is, it must be good if it's parking lot's full, if there's only 1 or 2 cars, that's not a good restaurant. Let's not go there, but, so it's really been some improvements, and I can't wait to see, some of the businesses going through it. I know Rolesville's going through a lot of growth. A lot of people before COVID were having problems with inventory. Now people are scared, business owners are scared about opening a business during COVID, because you never know what's going to pop up regulation wise. I think it has settled down since we've kind of opened back up, I was one of the strong believers that you shouldn't have closed small businesses during COVID. I think you should have allowed them to adapt, like do the plexiglass in front of the registers, wear mask, have sanitizer at the door entrance, for everybody. Businesses, and especially small businesses, can adapt really quick if you give them the chance, but I think during COVID, it was government's like, no, we're closing businesses. If you're not essential business, you're closed, and that really hurt them, because government's not fast on providing any kind of relief. So some of them, had to pay for their employees while they couldn't work to keep them, and so now it's just turned around, totally different scenario with business. They're having a hard time staffing. So now hours are changing. It's affecting everybody, especially in the restaurant. I think I went to Sonic today, and I pulled in Sonic, hit the little red button, and they ended up telling me, "Oh, sorry, but we're short staffed. We're only doing a drive through. We're not doing the little things out there." So I'm like, I pulled in the drive through, because they didn't have enough staff to do both. So there are some challenges in business right now, and so now it's not just the lack of inventory, which of course now we have a lot of inventory fixing to be on the market in probably about a year. I guess it's going to take them to build a lot of that. We have, I think it's Cobblestone over there across from Rolesville Furniture. That's going to have some retail space in it. There's the new one that I seen dirt being moved today, across from Hardee's on the main street. That one I think is going to be geared to some medical type stuff, a 3-story medical. What I'm really excited is seeing those buildings somewhat into the Main Street plan that y'all have, the look of the Main Street plan. For downtown Rolesville. So I know they have some similar looks that y'all were looking for in that plan, which is going to be exciting to see some of those buildings on that plan. I think that's my next project to try to dove into. Is like, how can we offer some kind of incentive to the businesses that are existing to start looking like that Main Street plan, because that's one issue with the business. They're not going to do anything unless they can get some kind of credit, like tax credit, some kind of reimbursement or something, they're grandfathered in. So unless you force them, like they're going to, if they start a remodel, then they have to do it, but they don't have to start a remodel. So your Food Line Center there, the Southtown Circle Center, if you would offer some kind of credits of some type, historical tax credits or something like that, for them to upfit their front entrance or upgrade their entrance to look like some Main Street stuff, that's something I'd like to try to discuss in the future to kind of see how can we increase that so that your downtown is really walkable and people come stay up here. Another thing that Rachel mentioned was all the development coming in. I know people don't like neighborhood developments a whole lot. They see all these pastures turning into neighborhoods, but you get to a certain point, then big box starts looking at you to start providing more convenience, like for example, an Applebee's, a Walmart, things like that are going to start coming on 401 because y'all have enough big houses and roofs to cover what they need, and a lot of times they don't look at, I know y'all had said like getting to 10,000, but they're also looking at what you've approved, and what people are planning on approve. So
Right.
if you get another 3,000 houses approved, they're going to take that into consideration also, because it's going to take them a year to build their facility also,
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, I'm glad that you covered quite a bit of the information, of course, as I'm looking at stuff on the background, and they're laughing at me because you already know. One of the things I do want to say, if you have questions about Launch Rolesville, or you want to know more about the program, Launch Rolesville will be at a booth this weekend at our Roseville Business Saturday. We have over 45 plus businesses that will be set up at the downtown Roseville Farmers Market. So if you have questions and want to know how you can apply and things like that, they will be there. You can ask myself. You can come to the Roseville Chamber booth, which is where they will be located. You can also attend the Rotary booth, because Launch Rolesville is also a part of a Rotary program. You can ask any questions that you have this weekend, and we definitely will make sure we provide you some information. So I just want to say thank you, Brad, so much for coming on to talk about the Launch program. And of course, if you all have any questions, we had it up earlier. You could go to LaunchRolesville.com and actually look at the application. It's a very quick application to fill out, and submit any information that you have. And Brad, what's the deadline for the applications?
Deadline September 15th.
So that is right around the corner. It's still time if you want to apply. We definitely can do that. So any last minute questions for Brad, Mayor, before I pop them off?
No, I just want to thank you, Brad, for coming on for a few minutes and spending some time with us and educating the community and myself really on commercial and new businesses and all this good stuff. I do know, I will close by saying, I do know you got the Rolesville Foundation that you're getting started and building. And at some point in time in the future, I'm going to bring you back on this show and we'll talk about the foundation and what that means to us and how we can support that and all the things that's good happening there. But you got so much going on here, and I really appreciate all your community service that you do here, Brad. So thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a great night and a great weekend.
Thanks, Brad. You too. All right, Mayor, moving along. So I'm excited to bring in our next guest. Of course, this is Austin, which we may get more questions as far as the Wallbrook subdivision. So we're going to go ahead and pull him in. Austin, so glad to have you join us this evening.
It's great to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Look, now, I don't know what that cool little corner is that you're in, but I just look. I'm looking at. I always look at the.
It's a faux background. It's a faux background.
But I'm gonna go ahead. You and Mayor can pick up, and of course, I will man any questions that people may have for you. But I'm definitely excited. Thank you so much for joining us. And Mayor, take it away.
Yeah, appreciate Austin for you coming on for a few minutes and talking to us. I know some people have heard about this Wallbrook project, and I know we're just a matter of months away from getting started on Main Street, and then once Main Street is started, we know that your project will come soon after that, and you've been headlined in the local journal, business journal type things. I think that was a few months back, and I think, Rachel, we do have that we can put up some of the things that was already been announced and was in the business journal. But just kind of want to bring you up, and there's some really good information in there, Austin, if you want to share anything. But just want to talk to you a little bit about your project and kind of your timeline. And I know that you have been working for this for a while now, right? Actually, you got involved before Main Street was even envisioned, if I recall. Is this correct?
Well, yeah, truth be known, Mayor, I've probably been involved for even longer than you suspect, because I'm not kidding you. In 2007, I was under contract on about 50 acres of our current assemblage. And that was right when I was spreading my wings as a young developer, and many, many years ago, and right before the Great Recession. So like many projects, it didn't turn out. But as things go, I re-engaged around 2017 with the landowner, and was involved with the Main Street Visioning Plan, and that's led us to today.
Well, that's great. I know we're lucky enough, the plan worked out really well, and we're lucky enough to have two anchors on both ends, really. We got the Cobblestone Village on the north end towards the intersection of Main and Young. And then you are down there on the south end, anchoring close to where the Burlington Mills realignment is coming in. And I know that's going to be a central area of our streets coming together there, is it not? Is it a real strategic location?
Yeah, absolutely. Our project starts, the southern or southwestern tip of the project is the intersection of Jonesville Road and Main Street. And both Jonesville Road and Main Street are, of course, the primary entry points to town from the bypass. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, how people come in. And really from that point for the next half a mile, and in so many places on both sides of the street, our 78-acre assemblage is going to have a lot of presence. Has a lot of presence on Main Street today, but certainly as the improvements come on board and the streetscape emerges, we've got a really nice canvas to develop on over the next few years.
I know you're excited about that, Austin, and looking at your visual here. How would you describe, what will we see there once it's built and you have your commercial there? What will it look like to us?
Well, I guess the best place for me to start is at the street, because Main Street itself is undergoing a transformation. Of course, if you drive from Jonesville Road to Burlington Mills Road today, you see a bunch of pine trees, nothing but pine trees on your right coming into town. On your left, you have a Bojangles, and you have the auto shop as well. And that's it. So there's two buildings on that entire stretch of the road. The Rolesville Charter Academy there at exactly west of Bojangles is providing a lot of activity. But we are at 100% design in the LAP grant Main Street project, which we are co-funding with the town and with federal grants. I think that the total cost, including our piece of the project, is in the neighborhood of $9 million and beyond, if you take into consideration acquisitions of right of way, et cetera. And we had a decision to make about a year ago as to whether we were going to kind of piecemeal some of our improvements, both roadway improvements and streetscape improvements, as the project developed, or whether we were going to essentially do everything up front. And we opted for the latter. And I think that it's going to be the best outcome for the town and the best outcome for our project. It's not a cheap way to do it, but frankly, we are going to invest in the full widening of Main Street for the extent of our project, including cooperation with the LAP grant portions of the project, which start at the Burlington Mills Road realignment. But what's really neat is that we've been able to figure out how to get a 10-foot multi-use path on the south or east side of Main Street, depending on how you look at it. And by multi-use, I mean a path wide enough and designed to suitable for both pedestrians and for bicyclists, which is important because you can put a bicycle path in a roadway inside the curb, which you see in a lot of urban and suburban areas. However, that's not a design that a family with kids that may be 5, 6, 10 years old are comfortable, riding down Main Street on. They don't want to be inside the curb. And so by creating a multi-use path and putting it outside the curb, that's going to be really neat. And it's going to go in as part of the initial phase of Main Street. So regardless of the timing of the kind of incremental development of different pieces of the project as driven by the market, the pedestrian and bicycle connectivity will be there day one, as will be the street lights, the tree landscaping. It's all going to be there. So a lot of times in a big project like this, you have kind of missing teeth, we call it, where you've got a sidewalk and streetscape, and then you're kind of waiting on the next piece to make the connectivity. We're doing that all at once. So it's really going to be a big transformation along Main Street.
Yeah, and also from a commercial standpoint, most of this property that you got in yellow here, which I think represents the land that you're developing, would you say most of it is commercial?
Yes.
Or can you kind of show us what would be commercial?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not driving the mouse, but if you look at the area that, again, based on the orientation of this, I would call it the south area, the triangle that has the dashed red lines around it, that is the residential component at Wallbrook. And we are zoned for up to 155 townhomes. And we're actively working on the design of that project. We're actually in site plan approval with the town of Rolesville on that project. And all of the remaining pieces and parts are commercial. And when I say commercial, I kind of use that broadly to include retail, office, professional office, and medical office as well, but all kind of non-residential uses. I might, if we can go back to the next slide, I think, I guess I would suspect folks and yourself, Mayor, would like to hear about kind of the phasing and what might come first.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
They're starting at Jonesville Road between there and Virginia Water Drive, which is where the roundabout is. Virginia Water Drive is an existing road with tons of rooftops on it that we're extending through our project to a signal on Main Street. Between Virginia Water Drive and Jonesville Drive, we have a commitment that will culminate in an executed lease in a day or a week or somewhere in between. And I was hoping I could announce it tonight, but we do have a major, I guess I would say, very well thought of, best in class grocery store who is committed to the project. And we can't say who it is until the lease is signed, but I think folks will be pleased. And that is going to be the first component of the project. So it's about an 80,000 square foot project. It's going to have, of course, shops and restaurants and services, as well as the grocery store itself. And we're going to be very excited to announce that in the coming weeks. Hopefully within 2 weeks. It'll take us a week or so after the lease is signed. And as far as the other pieces of the project, I saw a drawing pop up on the screen that we can go back to. This, bear with me because this is a bit conceptual, but the central portion of our project between the extension of Burlington Mills Road and Main Street and Virginia Water Drive is an area that we really hope to be kind of a special village retail project. We're seeking a brewery, and we expect it to be very, very heavy on food and beverage. We're trying to push the buildings up very tightly with Main Street so that they can have a very good relationship to that multi-use path that we're investing in, and bring outdoor seating out to Main Street. And we're looking for ways to connect pedestrians through the project to Main Street, create pocket parks and green spaces that can be a really active area between our residential project and Main Street in the center of it all. And there are a couple slides here beyond this one. If you can flip through, and I won't walk through all these, but this may be interesting for folks that are kind of design oriented to see how we think about creating place and visioning both circulation and how different buildings and parking areas and the services related to buildings work together. We can flip through a little further there. So that kind of shows how circulation works from the grocery tract, which would be on the left side of the screen, into some of these green spaces and pocket parks and through the parking areas. So we're really trying to think about how to connect all this as strongly as possible, not just to Main Street, but to the residential and other commercial components within our project.
Very good. You mentioned a grocery store, a brewery. What other facilities would we may see? I know probably nothing is in stone, Austin, but as a crystal ball, or what you're visioning, would it be things like medical facilities, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me first say that based on the timing of the infrastructure, not just the expansions and improvements to Main Street, but the streets that we need to build, the public roads like the extension of Burlington Mills Road, Virginia Water Drive, and Wall Creek Drive. We don't expect to open the grocery store until summer of 2023. So as we sit here in 2021, we're almost 2 years away from opening. So we're having a lot of conversations, but I think it's obvious why we don't have a lot of announcements to make right now. We're just really getting the marketing for the project going. But in regards to the types of tenants, on the retail side, we do expect it to be, fairly heavy on food and beverage and restaurants. Of course, in retail centers, it's not a lot of folks that come in and sell things anymore. Gift shops, clothing, small boutique clothing stores. Not to say that there can't be some of that, but just the current state of things and e-commerce makes it a little bit more difficult. So we do expect it to be also fairly heavy on services such as fitness, quasi-medical services such as physical therapy, spas, places that people go to interact with, professionals, salons, that sort of thing. And so I think that's really within the grocery center and within the village center. There'll be a lot of food and beverage and kind of personal services. But we also expect, especially as you get kind of beyond on the downtown, the in-town side of Burlington Mills Road, we've had conversations with basically every major medical practice and the hospitals in the Triangle to encourage them that they need a satellite or a major presence in Rolesville. We do expect that a really good chance that one of those players will show up, and that'll be great. It's going to save a lot of travel, vehicle trips for folks that now have to leave Rolesville to go see the doctor and to see especially some of the specialists and imaging centers and those sort of things. But not just that, but if they're taking their wife or loved one or grandmother there, they can go shopping, go to lunch. And, these retail services are really, these medical services providers really are drawn towards retail locations with amenities these days. And so we want to provide that to draw those uses in.
It sounds great, Austin. You mentioned maybe middle of 2020, what do you say, three for the grocery store. So, that's a timeline. So would that be the first thing we see probably, or some of your residential stuff may come before, or we may see something, before the grocery store?
Well, we expect that we will start the residential concurrently with the groundbreaking for the grocery store. So that really is, call it June 2022 to start moving dirt, and it'll take right at about 12 months to deliver the grocery store. The residential, it'll take about that same amount of time just to do the site work and put the infrastructure in and deliver lots. So there'll be a little bit of a lag, I think, before The townhomes are completed from a vertical standpoint, but all the internal roadways will be started all around that same time and completed at the same time that the Main Street project wraps up. So there will certainly be some commercial parcels that won't break ground until maybe 12 months, let's say, after the grocery store opens. So 2024. But, we really do expect that, by the end of 2023, that we'll have most of this figured out and plans that we can announce and projects under development throughout the entire acreage, the entire 78 acres.
Great. One last question, Austin. I know it's very important for you once you invest in my I think I've heard numbers put out there in some of these reviews and maybe in the journal and places, maybe a 75 million plus project. I'm not sure if I'm far off on that number, but you and your associates making a big investment into this thing in Rolesville. So do you feel like what you see in Rolesville in our growth and what we're proving and what we have approved is going to be what you need to be successful, and for this new center to have buildings that are not empty but full of merchants and businesses and those type things? So you feel good that what you see that we're doing as a town is in the right direction for us to have the commercial and things and amenities and commercial and stuff that most of our citizens are looking for.
Yeah, I do. And I know that there's been maybe some frustration from residents and others that the growth has been so heavily weighted on the residential over the years. And since we've become involved in this project, the residential growth has even accelerated. In our opinion, we're seeing high quality residential growth. And as we open the first phase of the project, I mean, there's no secrets among retail centers or among retailers themselves about how the retailers that go first, how they're doing. People learn what the restaurant volumes are, and you can see and feel if a center's thriving or not. So, we hope and pray for as much growth as possible because we need customers and our retailers need customers in order to make the follow-on phases of the project the best that they can possibly be. So bring it on. We think that Rolesville's been very smart. The town has been very smart from a planning standpoint to initiate the Main Street project when it did, to get ahead of some of this growth and to enhance the streetscape and the connectivity. And, we're happy to be a part of it. And we're just, astounded that the town has been able to go from a plan in 2018 that usually goes on the shelf and gathers dust for 10 years before something happens. And, here it is fully funded and we're a part of it. And, it's just amazing. 2, 3, 4 years in our business is the blink of an eye. And the town's been able to go from a vision to a groundbreaking well within that time frame.
Well, thank you, Austin. Appreciate you coming on. And as we get closer and have you groundbreaking on some of your work up there, we'll have to get you back on it sometime.
We'll let you hold one of the gold shovels.
I appreciate
Rachel
that.
too.
Well, Austin, you can't get off just yet. So I just want to ask a couple of questions, and I'm glad to see he's my friend now. I'm going to call Jack my friend. Jack has definitely joined us for the evening portion. He was here this morning, so I'm glad that you came back. Now, one of the things you mentioned, and we had not pulled it up yet, but I have it up on the screen now. You mentioned a brewery. So, of course, some of us here, I'm not going to say who, just when you say brewery, a lot of us get excited, right? Because that means good beer, good food, all that other wonderful stuff. But the key part about this, if you look at this plan of what there's potential, there's a potential performance event space with an outdoor stage and a daytime activity space. So, it's different when you talk about it, but when you can see a plan and you see this listed on there. So with this brewery, not only are we going to give them alcohol, but we're going to potentially put a stage out there, maybe a band or two to perform and all that other wonderful stuff. So is that part of what we're looking at when we say kind of create this wonderful space right off of Main Street, make it walkable, easy to get to, all that other wonderful stuff?
Yeah, I think, it's we don't have the ability to, take half of that property and turn it into an amphitheater, right? Even if we did, it would be growing grass for most of the day or most of the week. And so it's about really trying to design it as we approach final design in a way that's flexible, so that at the right times of the day and the right times of the week that you can repurpose spaces, including, you'll notice 2/3 of the orange area that says flexible performance space is a parking lot, right? So we're trying to figure out how to make the most of the space and of the land, so that when it's appropriate to have some sort of a kind of music event or some other kind of performance event, that we've got a plan ahead of time for how to accommodate that and get enough people to have kind of a critical mass of consumers out there enjoying themselves and neighbors enjoying themselves. And so we're still in the kind of conceptual stage as to how we can maximize it, but we absolutely do expect that, if you roll out there on a Saturday afternoon and it's good weather, that you're going to hear music, when you're 300 yards away. And it's going to draw you in.
Well, I tell you, Austin, that must have been like the hot button question. I'm going to pull in a couple of the questions that we have here. And for my friend, I do know for Jack, he did say he cannot tell you the name of the grocery store yet. Just so that we know, Jack did pop that question there wanting to know. He did mention earlier he can't say the name of it yet till he signs a lease. So, of course, that's to come. Hopefully once we know, we'll have a press release about it. But another thing just popped up when you talked about that space and that area. Sherry Bauer, who is with the downtown Rolesville Farmers Market, said, what about a farmers market area?
Yeah, that's absolutely a great idea for, I talk about using spaces efficiently at the right, times of the day. Sunday morning or midday Sunday or Saturday morning is a great time for a farmer's market, probably less of a great time for people to sit around and drink beer and listen to music, although they might want to drink a Bloody Mary and do it. But yeah, farmer's market, craft fairs, we'd really like to, figure out ways to take kind of sections of the project and figure out ways to essentially activate it in ways that draws people in from the community, so they can build community. And we really want the project to be kind of a cornerstone for folks that live in town.
Well, that's definitely great. And for my friend Jack, he says he guess he'll have to wait then. So,
sorry, Jack.
Look, Jack, we got you. Once we know, we'll let you know. As I like to tell people, I think we kind of know people. We have the mayor on, we got Austin on. I think we know people, so we can get you some answers to let you know once we know what's going on with that. Well, I will tell you, this is great, Austin. Of course, you and I have been to some events together. We've talked to people about this development, and we've, kind of done a little putting it out there, a little buzz, making sure people know about it, kind of spread the word about if you're looking for some things or looking for space, this is a possibility of what you can do. And I'm always excited to definitely talk about what's to come with this development. And the one thing we've been talking about is that we're looking for commercial. And so to see that property be majority commercial and some residential. But also, I want to go back, and not that I'm trying to prolong this, but there are just like some really key things that I think are important for some of the people that are watching. When you look at that and you talked about the future road. And so when we talk about that future road, which is the Burlington Mills realignment, which is the portion at the top of here, which comes down. But the thing that's also really key and critical is that when you talk about connecting that Virginia Waters, which will kind of connect you directly into the Carlton Point subdivision, not only will it connect you to the Carlton Point subdivision, but it also will connect you to the other 2 subdivisions on the other side of Carlton Point, which is the Villages of Rolesville and also Cedar Lake. But also looking at a lot of the new development, there will be a new entrance to the Wall Creek Drive, which puts you in another subdivision, which kind of helps increase the accessibility of people being able to maneuver between the subdivisions and be able to access and make it more walkable, and they can ride their bikes and not necessarily have to get on Main Street. So I just wanted to point that out too as some key things as we talk about the growth and what we're doing. So just wanted to make sure that was known and put that out there. So I think that's all of my questions, Mayor, for Austin. I don't think I have any others.
Yeah. Thanks, Austin, and appreciate you coming on. And we'll have to have you back on here again as things progress and talk about it. It's so much that we didn't talk about. And
no, that's true. And frankly, we're just getting started as it relates to we needed to land the grocery store. We're there. We'll be able to talk about it soon. But in regards to being able to really market the project properly and get tenants on board, we're just getting started.
Yeah, and I think you told me one time that this is not a project that you will build and sell and go away. You'll connect it to it pretty much.
Yeah, that's our expectation for sure. And we'd like to grow it beyond what we currently control, or what we currently own. So we'll see what we can do about that.
It's so fortunate to have something of this size with people that are that'll be part of it and stay here rather than be owned by somebody in California. So thank you for coming on. Appreciate it, Austin. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
Bye, y'all.
So I just want to say, Mayor, it's always great the response that you get from people and some of the questions that come in as people are looking at and kind of talking about as we look to move Roseville forward. So of course, for all of us that are, all of those that are joining online, just want to thank Commissioner Vilga for joining in. He said, great info. Thanks, Brad and Austin, for helping move Roseville ahead. And I think that's a lot of what you talked about. Even this morning, you talked about, part of your vision when you came in was looking at some things that you could do to increase transparency and to make sure that the citizens of Roseville, were able to, one, have accessibility to you, to ask questions and to be able to know what's going on. And part of that platform has been, of course, getting the town hall meetings online so you can view them on YouTube. You can go back and watch them in case you don't go to a meeting. You can fast forward through and get to the agenda items that you want. And then also shows like this, which kind of pulls in guests that you are working with and that we're working with to ask them questions and give the public an opportunity to say, what are some of the questions that you have? We know having a new grocery store is a new hot button topic. Having places to eat at is a hot button topic. But to hear it this evening directly from the developer to say, hey, we're looking at a brewery, we're looking at an outdoor stage, we're looking at performance area, and for Sherry Bauer with the farmers market to be able to say in the middle of this, hey, what about a farmers market? Because I will say that is something that was not considered or talked about in any of my discussions with any of the space. So
it looks like there's some space there that could be used.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
It looks promising. And you're exactly right. I think this is a great start, Rachel. I believe tonight has been a great start, and I hope we can continue this. And we got some great guests planned for this fall season up into December already, and we'll share those as it gets closer. I know next month we got Keenan of the Cobblestone coming on to talk about his project, and a lot of exciting things that we got going on, economic development, and just so much going on. And I think this is a great start. It's a way to get people engaged. I hope the viewership will continue to grow as we try to. I'm gonna try to have featured guests that will somehow reach everyone in some ways. It's going to be some. We may have a person on here talk about retirement, because we do have people that's facing those things, and what do you have to do to get ready for that type stuff. And so we are going to have these economic and growth stuff, but it's going to be other things. We may even have some very difficult topics to talk about as the show goes on next year. Some things that, we don't really like to talk about sometimes, but really in a community, it's healthy to talk about those things. So we may have some guests on to do stuff like that. So, I'll challenge the viewers and the citizens to reach out if you got suggestions or some things you want to see or hear, or just let us know, and we'll go from there. And just really appreciate your involvement tonight, Rachel. You're a great co-host or host. Appreciate that, and Amish working in the background there so seamlessly, and just appreciate everything that you guys are doing.
And I do want to say, I'm gonna pop Amrish on. He's back there. He's actually an intern with us with the chamber. Amrish actually has been with the Chamber of Commerce for almost a year now. He's been working with us. He is a senior at Panther Creek High School. So one of the things about our internship programs is that we got a little creative in the pandemic, like many of our businesses. So we created a virtual position for internships. And so that allowed students to still be able to get credit to work with the chamber. We opened it up and made it public to almost anyone. We wanted to give students an opportunity. So Amrish answered the call. He's been with the chamber behind the scenes. No one's ever seen him. So tonight you get an opportunity to see him. And when I told him, he's like, Miss Rachel, do I have to be on camera? I said, I'm going to pop you in at the end. So we do appreciate him and all of the work that he does to assist the chamber and a lot of the research projects that we do. So if you are a parent watching and you have a student who's in high school that is looking for opportunities and they have a busy schedule, just know there are companies like the Rolesville Chamber that will work with you to make sure that your students can still get credit and get internship opportunities. So tonight he's been behind the scenes working the tech piece of it. He's been back there looking at comments and looking at chats and things like that. So there are ways that we can definitely pull your kids in. So I just want to throw that out there too. So Amrish, we appreciate you. You know, I appreciate you. So just want to put that out there and just say thank you for joining us, especially tonight, working and being on from 6 to like 8. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amish. Appreciate it.
So, Mayor, we're going to close it out. We've mentioned who we have coming on next month, and really excited about that. So once we see the opportunity of being able to grow, and of course, if people have ideas of things that they may want us to do, of course, you can let the mayor know. He's extremely approachable. You can talk to him. Of course, you can send the chamber a message and let us know if there's anything that you want to do. We're definitely excited about it. Thank you so much, Sherry. Yes, we do love giving student opportunities and actually being able to show you that the students are working hard. So we definitely appreciate that. So, Mayor, anything as we close out?
No, I just want to thank everybody for joining in and being part of this interactive broadcast, and looking forward to doing this again. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a great evening.